Hi everyone, I'm April, and you're watching The Tangled Cat Speaks, and this is a crafty edition. I just want to say a quick reintroduction of myself. That's Freya, and she is cranky in her old age, so you may hear her from time to time. I do apologize. But I'm April, and I am a knitter and a crocheter, and sometimes I cross stitch. And I am in, did I already say it? I'm in Rio Rancho, New Mexico. In the desert, in the heat, and it is hot right now, which is why I don't have this first finished object on. The last time I showed this project was when it was all nothing but squares that needed to be joined, and it is now joined. 42 7-inch granny squares, all done in basically a DK weight, and then sewn together to make, it's like tangled, and to make a fun little cardigan. Sorry, my lighting looks really weird right now. I wonder if I could fix that. Anyways, so this is the cardigan, all sewed up, cute little sleeves. It's kind of like, sort of like balloon sleeves. I did a little bit of decreasing just at the very edge here. And I did finish off the edges. I don't know if you could see, but I did reverse single crochets, or what you would call crab stitch. I did that all the way around. Now these center, the main squares are all fingering weight wool yarn, superwash wool nylon blends, mostly from Hue Loco, leftovers from Hue Loco project that I did, and some Toad Hollow had to be added in there because I did kind of run out of some of the colors. I tried to find colors that kind of matched the same vibe, and I think it turned out really well. What I sewed it up with and did the borders is actually 100% acrylic that I got from Hobie. And it's just a light gray. And the fingering weight I held double, and this was just held singly. I love it. I'm going to put up a picture here in a little bit of what it looks like on, and I love it so much. I can't put it on right now because it's too darn hot, and even the day I took the picture it was too darn hot and I had to take it off. But I love it, and I have a shawl pin that I can put in front to close it if I want to. Normally I'd probably just wear this open. That's usually how I wear most of my cardigans. But it's warm and snuggly and heavy, and you know, if you see a few of these little strands just kind of popping out here and there, when I made the squares, I did make the tails extra long, which is probably why I ran out of colors. But I did make them extra long because I knew that this was going to have to be washed and blocked and worn over and over and over. And because granny stitch is such an open stitch, I knew that if they were going to pop out, and I figured leave them for now until I wear it a little bit, wear it a few times just to see how, you know, so that it settles into the shape and the size that it wants to be. And once that happens, I'll be free to trim any of these ends, knowing that they're really not going to go anywhere after that because it's already been moved and pulled and pushed and whatever to the size that it's going to be, and the ends probably won't be coming out after that. And if they do, they're kind of long, like I said, anyway, so I'll be able to deal with those as I get to probably just tuck them back in. But this was so much fun. I ended up doing, as far as joining, I did a crocheted slip stitch, like a visible slip stitch on the front side, through like one was through the back loop and one, well, I guess it would be both of them back loops because you got the two backs together. So it gives you the seaming color as well as a ridge on either side. And I did that because I knew I was also going to be using the same color, the gray, for the edgings. so I didn't mind that the blocks, the seaming shows, and it defines each block very nicely, and I love it. I'm having so much fun with it. You can see right here in the front is where there's two triangles that you got to make, and there's one triangle there and the other triangle here, which creates it's a V-neck cardigan. I had so much fun making this, and I'm glad that it's finally done, and I can't wait until it starts to cool down enough for me to wear this. It's gonna keep me so warm. It's heavy. It feels like a blanket, but I'm gonna love that when it's super cold outside. We do live in the desert and it gets crazy hot like right now in the summer, but in the winter it can get pretty darn cold. And then I still had, and I'm being so, I don't know, just very adamant about using up all my ends lately. So I still had these tiny bits of ends left over from those Hue Locals, which this was the second, this cardigan was the second project that I used those Hue Local yarns on. The other one was a shawl a while back. So I still had these itty bitty ends, and I ended up making a magic ball using the magic knot. So there's a lot of knots in this, but you really can't tell because I did them so very close to the end. And then I added a little bit of extra toad hollow that I had just to make this the size that I wanted. So this is a crocheted triangle shawl, granny square. Now you'll see, it's long. This first section here, from this top to about down to here, is all of those itty bitty minis. So you can see it's kind of, it's hard to see with the light. You can see where the colors change real often. And then this block here was the Hue Local that I added. And that was the same Hue Local that I had to supplement in the cardigan. I had quite a bit of that left, so I just did it here. Now this is also being held double to make a DK / worsted weight. So it's those colors held with like a tan beigey color. That was also an extra supplement for that cardigan. So I had enough left to hold that double with all of the minis in the magic ball. And it kind of softened all of the colors and made them sort of blend together because they all have that same beige running through it. And then I used this green, which is already a worsted weight. And I've had this for years. I don't know the brand. It's one that someone gave to me years ago, and I made another shawl, and I'll have to show that another time. Years and years ago, I think it was the Hedge Witch shawl. Beautiful knitted pattern with some lovely texturing on it, and I adore that shawl, but I had, I think, 6 balls of it left. This ended up taking about 2.5, and then I thought, this thing is big enough, I'm done. So I still have 3.5 of those left, and I'll talk about that more in a little bit. And then I found another yarn because I ran out of this. So I found another ball, and I think this was a toad hollow, and I still had some of that tan left. I held those together, and it still kind of came up with the same color vibe for the edging, and I just did a scallop edge. Really easy, super simple, and this went real quick. Now, you might notice, because when you make a triangle granny style, let me start over. When you make a granny square triangle, it's basically an equilateral triangle. So the wingspan is the same all the way around, no matter which way you turn the triangle. So I wanted the wingspan to be longer. So at this point here, I did add a couple of extra sections, and I did it again way up here somewhere. Maybe not way, I did it right here, right at the color change, and then I think I did it the next row. That gave me some extra sections, and then I did it again here at the very end just to kind of get this scalloped edge to curve around. But that means that now my wingspan is much longer than the other three sides of the triangle, which helps it to sit better on your shoulders and wrap around more, which is what I love. Had such a good time with this. It went by so fast. And that's all I've finished this past month. Now, I did start, I think sometime not in July, but I think at the end of June, I did mention a knitting project where I was doing another magic ball type of situation, to knit a scarf, and this is where I'm at so far with that, just using a bunch of odds and ends. I have tons of them, and I really can't see myself throwing them out or giving them away. I mean, they're small. Let me show you. They are super small. Like, these are the sizes that I'm using, like super, super tiny, and I'm just knotting them together, random color. I'm just picking them out of the bag without really thinking, and I'm making a long scarf, and this is fingering weight, so it's very thin. I'm doing a seed stitch. Now, with seed stitch, it makes a much smoother transition between the colors, so you don't see the jog quite as much because you're doing alternating knit and purl. You're always going to see at the color change, you're going to see bits of the new color. So it's really, even if you like stop in the middle of the row like this here, you can't really tell, but I stopped the color ended right in the middle of the row, but because of the way the seed stitch pulls your stitches frontward and backward, you can't really see that I ended in the middle of a row. So that's why I chose that. So from far away, it doesn't have that obvious jog when you change colors in the middle of a row. That's why I did that. And I'm gonna make this child size, but I think I'm gonna make it into a infinity scarf that you can double loop, just because this is fingering weight and it is kind of thin. And like I say, it can get really cold and windy in the cooler months here in New Mexico. So I'm slowly working on that, and that's really, I do have some other whips that I'm going, but I'm kind of not really focusing on anything specific right at the moment, except for test knit that I really can't talk about. Now, I did mention in this shawl that I had a lot more of this green. So that's what my next plans are going to be when I finish this test knit. I have enough. I believe I have enough because I don't have the ball bands, or I don't have any name of any of this green yarn. It was given to me. I just know that it had a little tag on it that said 100% British wool, but it didn't have any brand name. It didn't have any, it didn't even say the weight. I kind of have been guessing the weight based, on holding it up against other yarns in my stash. So I'm guessing it's a worsted weight, maybe even an Aran weight. I don't know if they have Aran weight as a size in, I know they probably do. I think they have DK and then it goes to Aran weight in the UK. So it's probably more of an Aran weight, because I think worsted weight is more of an American size. Not sure, but anyway, it's somewhere around that. So I'm guessing on the yardage, but I think I have enough to make a really pretty lacy shawl. I'll put a picture of here of what that pattern is, and I had to go down to the newest local yarn shop here, and it's called Mariposa Yarn, and I went and I had to go buy a size 10 knitting needle, even though I'm not going to start this project for several weeks. I went down and got myself a US size 10. I think that's maybe a 6mm, but I needed that so that I could do this lacy shawl, and it's going to be so fun. It's going to worsted weight lace shawls are just very interesting to me because they're warm, and yet they've got all the lacy holes in them, It's interesting. I love it. So that's what I'm planning on doing in the future. Like I said, this is very short because I don't really have anything crafty related to mention other than the other day I was watching Crafting with the Toads, Toad Hollow. I don't remember the name of their actual. I think it's Crafting with the Toads. But Mary Beth and Helen of Toad Hollow they started pulling out their cross stitch. Sorry, I just saw a bird fly past my window and I got distracted. Anyway, so they pulled out their cross stitch, and that kind of makes me want to pull out my cross stitch that I've been working on for over a year. And I've been working on it for a year. I worked on it a year ago and then I put it down. I'm about a third of the way done. So I'd like to get more work on that done, but who knows? Right now I'm really into obviously crochet and working in bigger yarns. So we shall see. Thank you again for spending a little bit of time with me while we talk about my knitting and crocheting and yarny progress. And I will see you again next time. Bye.